The Spartan Empire, often celebrated for its legendary warriors and disciplined society, stands as a compelling chapter in ancient history. In essence, the Spartan Empire was not an empire in the traditional sense, with vast lands and extensive political control. Instead, it was a dominant military state in ancient Greece, centered around the city of Sparta in the Laconia region. Its influence peaked during the 5th century BCE, particularly noted for its role in the Peloponnesian War against Athens. The significance of the Spartan Empire lies in its unique societal structure, which prioritized martial prowess, austere lifestyle, and the collective over individualism, setting the stage for its rise and eventual collapse. Two illustrative examples highlight the Spartan Empire's influence and importance. First, their victory in the Peloponnesian War demonstrated their military superiority and strategic acumen. Despite being outnumbered, the disciplined Spartan phalanx proved effective against larger Athenian forces, showcasing the military efficiency that became synonymous with Spartan legacy. Second, the agoge system, an intense military training regimen that all male Spartans underwent from a young age, instills the societal values that defined Spartan life. This system, focused on developing endurance, loyalty, and combat skills, not only forged formidable soldiers, but also shaped Spartan society around its militaristic ideals. Opinions on the Spartan approach vary. Many admire the Spartans for their discipline and tenacity, viewing their society as a model of strength and unity. However, critics point to their rigid social hierarchy and dependence on a subjugated helot population for economic purposes, which casts a shadow on their celebrated military achievements. The helots, essentially serfs bound to the land, were essential yet brutally oppressed, highlighting a significant challenge to the Spartan system. This reliance on an exploited class presents a controversial aspect, sparking debates on the ethics and sustainability of such a societal model. The Spartan Empire's collapse is intrinsically linked to its introduction and societal structure. The rigid militaristic system that brought success also sowed the seeds of its downfall. As external pressures mounted and internal tensions grew, particularly due to reliance on the helots and inability to adapt to changing times, Spartan society began to fracture. This point interconnects with the decline of the Spartan Empire, demonstrating how the very traits that forged their identity eventually contributed to their decline. Understanding the introduction to the Spartan Empire thus provides crucial insights into both their rise to power and the eventual collapse of their once mighty society. The rise and dominance of Sparta are pivotal in understanding the eventual collapse of the Spartan Empire, as these periods laid the foundations for both its strengths and weaknesses. Sparta, a city-state in ancient Greece, rose to prominence through a unique social structure and an unmatched military prowess. The Spartan society was centered around the agoge, a rigorous education and training program that turned young boys into elite warriors. By emphasizing discipline, endurance, and martial skill, Sparta created one of the most formidable military forces of the ancient world. The significance of this militaristic dominance cannot be overstated. It allowed Sparta to play a crucial role in the defeat of the Persian Empire during the Greco-Persian Wars, and to establish itself as a leader in the Greek world during the Peloponnesian War. Two notable examples illustrate Sparta's dominance. Firstly, the Battle of Thermopylae epitomizes Spartan courage and military discipline. Although vastly outnumbered, a small contingent of Spartans, led by King Leonidas, held off the Persian army for several days. This act of defiance became legendary, symbolizing the Spartan ideal and enhancing their reputation across Greece. Secondly, Sparta's victory in the Peloponnesian War against Athens highlights their strategic acumen and solidified their hegemony in Greece. This victory, however, came at a cost, as it strained their resources and alliances, planting seeds for future vulnerabilities. The admiration for Sparta's military discipline and social cohesion remains evident in various opinions, with many viewing the Spartan model as the epitome of martial excellence and civic duty. However, this admiration is not without its controversies. Sparta's rigid structure, which required the subjugation and exploitation of the helot population, poses significant moral and ethical dilemmas. The dependence on an oppressed class to sustain their way of life created underlying tensions that eventually contributed to their decline. Sparta's dominance is also intricately connected to its eventual collapse. While their military prowess allowed them to expand and exert influence, it also led to overextension and complacency. The rigid social order that once ensured unity became an obstacle to adaptation and innovation, as other Greek states and emerging powers challenged Sparta's supremacy. In essence, the rise and dominance of Sparta set the stage for both its greatness and its downfall, intertwining with the broader narrative of its empire's collapse by exemplifying how strengths can morph into vulnerabilities over time. Military innovations and strategies were critical components of the Spartan Empire's rise to dominance, and they played a significant role in its eventual collapse. The Spartans were renowned for their unique approach to warfare, which was characterized by rigorous training, disciplined formations, and strategic foresight. This militaristic emphasis not only defined their society, but also contributed to their initial success as a dominant force in ancient Greece. The significance of military innovations and strategies in the context of the Spartan Empire cannot be overstated. The Spartans developed the formidable phalanx formation, a tightly packed infantry arrangement that allowed soldiers to support each other with overlapping shields and spears. This formation was the backbone of the Spartan army and provided a tactical advantage in numerous battles. It was a symbol of Spartan discipline and unity, which were crucial elements of their military ethos. One notable example of Spartan military prowess was their victory at the Battle of Thermopylae, where a small contingent of Spartan warriors, led by King Leonidas, held off a vastly larger Persian force. Although ultimately a defeat, the Spartans' strategic use of terrain and their combat skills left a lasting legacy of heroism and resistance. Another illustration of their strategic innovation was during the Peloponnesian War, where they employed naval strategies to challenge the dominant Athenian fleet, ultimately contributing to Athens' downfall. However, the Spartan focus on military supremacy was not without its challenges and controversies. Their system heavily relied on a rigid social hierarchy and the subjugation of the helots, an enslaved population that supported the Spartan economy. This dependence on an oppressed class led to frequent uprisings and posed a constant threat to internal stability. Additionally, while their strategies proved effective initially, they struggled to adapt to changing warfare dynamics, such as the rise of naval power and the use of new military technologies by their adversaries. Alternative viewpoints argue that the Spartan emphasis on military might came at the expense of other aspects of society, such as cultural and economic development, making them vulnerable to external pressures and internal decay. The over-reliance on traditional strategies eventually hampered their ability to innovate and respond to new challenges. In summary, while the military innovations and strategies of the Spartans were instrumental in their ascent, these same aspects contributed to their fall. Their steadfast commitment to traditional military approaches left them ill-prepared for changing times, ultimately influencing the trajectory and eventual collapse of the Spartan Empire. The socio-political structure of Spartan society was a complex and rigid system that played a pivotal role in their rise and eventual decline. At its core, Sparta was an oligarchy, where power was concentrated in the hands of a few. The two kings, the Gerousia, a council of elders, the ephors, a group of magistrates, and the apella, an assembly of male citizens, collectively governed the city-state. This structure aimed to balance power while maintaining a strict societal order, essential for sustaining their military-oriented culture. The significance of the socio-political structure in Spartan society is inseparable from the collapse of the Spartan Empire. The rigidity of this system facilitated a focus on military prowess at the expense of other aspects of society, such as economic development and innovation. While this focus allowed Sparta to become a dominant military power, it also sowed the seeds for its eventual downfall, as the lack of flexibility made it difficult for Sparta to adapt to changing circumstances. Two examples highlight the impact of the Spartan socio-political structure. First, the agoge, the rigorous education and training system for Spartan males, ensured that citizens were primarily warriors, at the expense of cultivating other skills necessary for a thriving society. This focus contributed to the lack of economic diversity and reliance on helot labor, which became increasingly problematic. Second, the Peloponnesian War illustrates how Sparta's military strength was both a blessing and a curse. While Sparta eventually defeated Athens, the prolonged conflict drained resources and left the socio-political structure unable to cope with new political realities. Opinions on the Spartan system often revolve around admiration for their military discipline, but also criticism for their lack of adaptability. The society's emphasis on conformity and suppression of individuality, while initially strengths, eventually resulted in stagnation and vulnerability to external pressures. Challenges and controversies surrounding the Spartan socio-political structure include the ethical implications of their reliance on helot slaves and the exclusionary nature of their citizenship and political participation. Alternative viewpoints suggest that a more inclusive or diversified socio-political system might have prevented their collapse by promoting economic resilience and societal innovation. Ultimately, the socio-political structure of Spartan society was both a foundation of their power and a critical factor in their decline. Its influences permeated every facet of Spartan life, from military operations to social values, and its inflexibility in the face of change significantly contributed to the collapse of the Spartan Empire. The lessons drawn from their rigid structure resonate in discussions about the adaptability and sustainability of governance systems throughout history.